Oh, hi! Welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to share with you some of the biggest differences we've noticed between living here in Kuala Lumpur versus back home in North America.
As you can imagine, when you travel this far, we're like 6,000 miles from home. There's a lot of differences between one place and the next.
And we're not just talking about language or driving on different sides of the street or having steering wheels on opposite sides of the car. We're not talking about that kind of stuff. We're talking about things that we would never know unless we actually were living here and immersing ourselves in that day-to-day culture. We've got a handful of different things here that we're going to share with you today. I'm sure there are plenty more, but these are the ones that stood out to us the most. Okay, so before we dive in, please just take note of this one thing.
Yeah, this is our disclaimer. This is the fine print on the video here, and that is that we are in no way trying to suggest in talking about differences between what we have been used to living in North America and now have experienced by spending some time here in Malaysia, that one is better than the other. I mean, everyone is entitled to their opinion about I like one thing and like something else less.
In fact, some of the differences you're going to see we prefer over where we're from, and some of the differences we prefer how they do it where we're from. So this is simply just what we have observed as differences between the two cultures.
Where we're from in Hamilton, Ontario, when you have a shopping area that's not like an indoor mall, oftentimes they're called power centers. I know they're not called power centers everywhere. Some places call them strip malls. You know, I think of them as like outdoor-ish shopping places, right, where you have to go outdoor from one store, you know, to the next to the next store.
Lot, store after store after store after store. Sometimes the parking lot's so big you have to get in your car and drive from one store to the next. I don't know what that's called, but...
Yeah, and those have grown, I think, in popularity in North America anyways, over the past 15 or 20 years. But here in KL, they don't do those things at all, right? And but there are large indoor shopping malls everywhere. And when I say large, I mean like 5, 6, 7, 8 stories of stores and restaurants. Malls have tons of restaurants here.
Yeah.
And I think we've been told by a couple of our friends who are locals that has a lot to do with simply the climate, that it's like between 28 and 32 degrees here almost every single day. And so as you can imagine, when people go out, they don't want to stay out in the heat for too long.
Sure.
They want to get out of the heat when they're shopping or out of the heat when they're going out to grab a bite to eat. And so indoor shopping malls, man, they are everywhere.
Another big difference from being back in Canada to here is the culture of wearing masks. Now, we've been told that this predates the COVID-19 pandemic, so I can't speak to that. But everywhere we go, inside or outside, even though the mask mandates have been lifted here, people are wearing masks. There is a pedestrian walking street right outside of our condo, and it is not uncommon for us to be walking down that street, and it's got a lot of people on it, and the only people not wearing masks walking outside is our family. People wear masks everywhere. The only place right now, because of the pandemic, that it is required is on public transport. So of course we've worn them on the subway, and of course we're going to be respectful of that. But it was really amazing for us leaving Canada, coming here, seeing, even though there's no mandate, people wear them everywhere. But it was really, really surprising to be immersed in a culture where it's just, this is just how we live. We wear masks all the time, even though we don't have to. Before we came here, one of our friends told us, oh, you're going to be introduced to the world of WhatsApp. At home, I tried to stay away from it, to be honest, because we had email and text and DMs and other apps meant to communicate with people, and I was like, not another one, I don't want another one. And they were like, wait until you use it, you're gonna love it. And they were right. Everywhere you go, businesses, people you meet, WhatsApp is the means of communication. It replaces texting, it replaces email. One of the things that I really learned to love about it is because it replaces email, but it's the form of a text, you can do away with all of the formalities that you would have if you're sending an email, all of the initial welcoming, greeting, you know, all the formalities and sign-offs and closures, and just, can I book an appointment at this date at this time? Yes, you can. It's super efficient, super quick. I absolutely have learned to love it. WhatsApp, regardless of your opinions about the ownership of that app, actually has proven to be really, really efficient and effective for us here while we've been over in Southeast Asia.
I think one of the ideas, or one of the reasons why it is so popular is because, as we've noticed, we talked about cell phone packages, and cell phone packages include a lot of data, and they include a lot of phone calls, but they don't include text messages.
Right.
And so because everybody has cheap data, it makes sense that you would go to a messaging app like WhatsApp in order to be able to communicate and to send messages from one person to the other person, because you have to pay extra money if you want to have text messages. So that's probably not the only reason, but I bet you that's one of the reasons why WhatsApp is so popular here in this area of the world.
Share it like it's incredible.
So last but not least, and for the grand finale of the 11 things that we have found to be a little bit different about being here in Malaysia, is the way that you enter your PIN number on an electronic keypad when you are trying to make a purchase using a debit or credit card. And so at first I didn't even understand what was going on. When I would say that I was going to pay with a credit card, they would bring out their keypad, like what POS terminal, like what we have in North America, with an electronic keypad. And you stick the card in, and I would go to punch my PIN number in, and the numbers would be like completely out of order in terms of it just be jumbled up where all the numbers are. I'd have to pay real close attention to making sure that I got the numbers right. And after a couple of times, I asked somebody, why are the numbers jumbled up in this way? And they told me that it is to protect your PIN number, so that if somebody is watching from a distance, they can't discern your PIN number on the basis of the movement of your fingers on the keypad, because the numbers have been randomly changed. And I thought, wow, that's a pretty cool way. And I thought, how come they're not doing that in North America? That's a pretty cool way of adding a little touch of security, extra touch of security to your credit and debit transactions here. So good job, Malaysia.
Yeah, very good. Actually, that reminds me, number 12. So one day when we were just out and about on public transit, I noticed that there was someone's index finger that was like dyed a color, like a purplish, bluish color. I was like, that's interesting. And then the next day I noticed somebody else had the first part of their index finger was dyed. And I said to him, have you noticed that some of the people here have like ink or dye or something on their finger? Like, I wonder what that is. And then later on that day we went on the train, and like the subway, and almost everyone we saw had it. So we looked it up. And whereas at home, if we were going to go to an election to cast our vote, we would show them our ID and our voter registration card, and we would cast our vote. One of the extra layers of security that they have here is they use this dye, and you have to dip your finger in this dye, and it takes like weeks to come off. You can't scrub it off. It dyes your fingertip for like a while. And one of the layers of security they have is they check your fingers before you vote. And if you already have that dye on your finger, then that means you already voted and you can't come back again and try to cheat the system. So it's like another layer of security they have. Everyone walks around for like weeks after with the tip of their finger dyed. Very interesting.
It seems like a pretty basic and what I'm going to call analog solution to a problem. But I can't help but wonder if this strategy would have saved some.
If other countries can benefit from such a simple yet effective strategy. Anyways, that is the list of things, the differences that we have noticed, the main differences we've noticed during our time here in KL. I'm curious if you have visited, or if you are from here and have spent time abroad, what are some of the differences that you have noticed between the different cultures? We would love to hear what we have overlooked and some of the things that stand out to you. Okay, you guys, thanks so much for watching this video, and we'll see you back here next time at I Am Loved.